Probably one of the most annoying things about modern video games is the amount of hand-holding. Games will put an invisible barrier in front of you, preventing you from progressing, or will make something so obvious it doesn't really feel like a challenge. Granted, there will always be some things that need explaining in games, whether it be complex power systems, or basic gameplay, or maybe even new mechanics. But every time you boot up a game, it doesn't have to treat you like you never touched one before. I believe great games award exploration and experimentation, and not only encourage you to do those things, but drive you to do them. I don't think I had ever played a game that felt as rewarding in those two aspects as Blueprints. You begin this game exploring an estate that changes each day. The basic gameplay functions like this. You open a door, you're given three options as to what the next room could be, you choose one, and proceed. Each room usually provides some kind of beneficial or negative effect, but there are some that don't provide any. Without going too in depth, as I could make an entire separate video talking just about the rooms, you're essentially trying to access this mysterious 46th room at the north end of the estate, using the gameplay steps that I mentioned previously. While you're exploring the house, there are many notes that can be found laying around, giving useful tips or advice on how to explore. One note suggests you bring a notebook to write things down with, which I initially ignored, thinking it was more aimed at the character you're playing as rather than the actual player. I was wrong. This game does something I have never experienced before in a video game. It only explains to you the most basic of mechanics while leaving tons of information strewn about in notes, letters, and other documents. You have to look for information you may need. The information is not presented to you obviously, and it is not always straightforward. But eventually, you're able to make your own conclusions about things, maybe even before you stumble upon whatever information was meant to point you to that conclusion. The more I explored, the more I felt drawn into and invested in this world. Who exactly was your uncle? Who are these people mentioned in these documents? Is there something here that they don't want you to find? These questions could only be answered through thorough exploration and critical examination of the estate. When I began playing this game, I initially thought this seems like a lot of work. I am the type of person that does not generally read through every single note or journal entry I find. I am the type of person that will collect every single journal entry just to scratch that completionist itch, but I don't generally read any of them. But as I forced myself to investigate and take my time examining things, I began to enjoy it. I started to get excited thinking about what information could be hidden in a room I had never drafted before. I started taking notes and reading every piece of paper I could get my hands on. Because you are reading everything you possibly can and analyzing it, you end up discovering more and more information about your family and other things that happened in this house. Not only was I excited to find more information that could lead me to solve a puzzle or improve my strategy, I also wanted to find the next thing that could add to the story I was experiencing through these notes. In Blueprints, any note could mean something, or assist you in getting further. It could be a clue to a puzzle in the room you're located, or the clue to one in a room you haven't even discovered yet. This game not only forces you to investigate and collect clues and information, but it also gives you no in-game way to keep track of them, forcing you to rely on either your memory or your own notes. It feels so rewarding to gather all the information needed to solve a puzzle and discover something you never knew existed. There was no journal telling you that you need to place an item in a specific location or a quest marker directing you to a specific area to progress the story. It's just you. The further and further I have progressed, the more I felt envious of people that have never played this game. The feeling you get when you see something in the house that finally makes a puzzle click is like nothing I've experienced before in a video game. If you do plan on playing Blueprints, I strongly recommend you avoid any content related to the game. Many of the puzzles in this game are static, and so they don't change from day to day despite it being a roguelike game. So just watching someone else play could spoil it for you. I wanted to make this video to kind of help convey the experience of the game to others so they can play it without being spoiled. But the main point I wanted to get across is that game developers could learn from blueprints. Sure, not every game needs to require you to read every piece of paper or memorize something you may have thought was inconsequential, but they could learn from letting go and letting the player discover the game rather than forcing it upon them. Allow their players to fail or maybe even become a bit frustrated. Force them to investigate and learn more about their world in a way that rewards the player. Plenty of games have interesting lore or stories that most players may have never even read, but there's not really any incentive to do so in most cases. Blueprints teaches you about this house and provides solutions to puzzles, while also conveying an enticing story that I did not expect. The game could be incredibly surface level if you wish, and you could finish the main objective of the game without having experienced hardly any story, but the reward for going deeper is definitely worthwhile.